This is another segment, so I have to finish what I say on the other piece because I had to talk to my mother, actually. So she's awesome. I know you guys know me, I always talk about her. She's one of the few people I trust. Seriously. That's how unfortunate this world has become. That, you know, where, I mean, it's not unfortunate because, I mean, I've gotten so close to her over this Mandela effect. I know it's been rough, but I tell you what, I mean, my mother and I have had a good relationship, but I'm telling you, we have become, she's like my best friend. And, you know, thank God that she, you know, she's been there through this whole thing and supportive and all the stuff I've been through. If it would have been for her, I would have lost my mind already, folks. And, you know, and you helped me too. You know, some of you, you know, and many like Amanda, even Robin, Bud, you're cool. There's a lot of you that have made a difference in my life that know there's real people out there that we're just separated for distance and all these other things, right? Because I've had these relationships in a way that, you know, I had some really close people wearing Mandela effect, wearing the spiritual realm, and boy, I just find out, you know, geez, they're just a mess. You find, you know, they came off clean, those things, but, you know, I'm not trying to insult them, but you just, they're true, genuine people, and there's other ones too. There's like Matt from Quantum Conscious. I don't know him personally, you know, and I watch his YouTubes, but he's a great guy. I mean, seriously, he's all in it for good. He's one that I'd actually trust. These other Mandela effects, I wouldn't. Dan and his, used to do these Friday Mandela effect things. You know, I'm not trying to insult the guy. He's got issues. He knows that I can't, that his behavior, they've actually insulted me many times. Every time they come on, they say, oh my gosh, here comes Kirk. Well, guys, he goes, I know I'm not perfect, but it's beyond that. You can believe, I don't want to trash you. I'm not here to trash and insult people. As I said, people can change very quickly overnight. So don't judge him. Maybe he's developed different things, because we're all a learning process. I become a better, you know, I was a good guy, but I become a better person over the past 3 years. I wouldn't even recognize myself. That I've become very more patient and more humble and just trying to be the best I can. So that's what we do, insult the brothers and sisters. I'm just saying, my personal choice is I'm gonna align. It's kind of like this. You got a crowd of people all running down the street, right? We're all trying to find the exit door and run away from the evil. There's monsters. So I'm gonna grab people around me that I know close to God and spiritually and trying to be good, and say, let's turn the street down the right. Let that herd keep running that direction, and, you know, let them keep running, because I'm exiting out and I'm moving off, okay? Because, you know, I'll try to help those, but, you know, you can't. So I'm going down a different path, street, or what we want to call it, a different part of the river, okay? So let me go back to this last thing. So the Father, the Lord, the angels, the higher ones above, allowed me to talk to top secret Air Force guy yesterday. And he, you know, he trusted me, of course, because, you know, my background, worked with Lockheed Martin and Space Mission Controls and these other things. Now, I can't say a lot because he's still under top secret clearance, and that's what I'm going to tell you. Once you join into that, sign up for that program, they used to always tell you, well, you have a 10-year, if you quit working with the Air Force or top secret secure clearance, that it will disappear. That is not true. They've actually come clean and admitted to it now, because they're monitoring me right now, right? And they always will. So you know, so you got to realize that once you sign up for that, but see, everybody's citizens wants to be monitored anyway right now. They're monitoring, you know, cell calls or YouTubes. They're monitoring. They're looking for, you know, terrorist activities or anything that's going to cause damage to your society. So you're being monitored anyway. If you think you're not, good luck. They have more information than you can imagine. They can actually boil down to your credit. They can monitor your credit cards, know where you're buying, what you buy. They know everything about you. So there's people like saying, I gotta hide. I'm gonna hide. No, you're not hiding. You cannot hide. It's, you know, and also you got the eye in the sky in the song. You got the beast system, Satan, whatever. Everybody's got you monitoring. Good thing is too, is God. It's like you're in the middle of the, you know, even if you're in the audience of a football game, there's, you know how the camera swings around, looks at everybody in the audience. Everybody in the society is being monitored. Now, they might be monitored closer if you're playing the football field, right? And that's probably like you, because if you don't think you're being monitored right now, I guarantee you are. And you're probably being even more scrutinized because you're spiritual, right? And that's what ends up being targeted, gang stalked, and these other things like that, right? So, okay, so back to this. See, I keep distracting. Sorry, so stay focused. So, this Air Force thing. So he told me, because you hear, like, what happens on the internet, you see all these different theories and things, existence, you know, all this stuff about all these negative, disgusting things. Now, the previous video I just told you, be careful what you focus on, because you can make that a reality. You've got to be very careful with that, because you bring it in. That's why they're trying to make those, introduce you to all these other things, because you put those things, you're like, it's like having a film, you know, like a movie projector where there's a film of just a tape, you know, the old projectors with the movie, and you sit in class, they go, you know what I mean, that thing. So you have that film that has the print, and that's what they're doing, you know. So like all this predictive programming, it's the film is there, but see, we're the synergy, the energy, and the soul, and the projection of that. So we bring that into reality. The first minute we focus on that, that's why they do this, is all of a sudden that becomes, boom, that film, the script, the way it's written, gets shot out onto the projection of the world, the theater that we're in. So picture that in your mind. So you got this film, that's this tape running, that has not lit, it's just kind of in place. That's the story, that's the script, the predictive programming, and then we are the energy, the true souls, and that's why you're sought after, the light, the way, because boom, you put that in there, and all of a sudden that that film becomes a movie with sound, all these things, and puts it into action, energy and motion. So you're the power behind that. See, and also these people, not as much extent around the society, they're part of that audience, this thing of this theater, that also, that their energy, that's why they keep them trapped and tamed, but then they try to get them focus on making those things. They don't see the front stage. They got backseat stage. We're on the front. We got front row seats to this stage. You know, we're front row, and we're actually on the stage. So, you know, we're actually on the front row. I used to be in the front. Now we're standing on the stage, and the light is projecting on us, okay? Because we're part of this whole thing. So you have the projection, you got the screen, you know, you got the screen, all of a sudden it's just put display there and all that stuff. So think about that theater, the movie, the screen, right, the theater, right? So on the Air Force thing, so we have all these things happening. So I have to validate what's true, and that's when the other side, high command, says, well, this is what's true and what's not true, right? Well, I talked about aliens where the Lord even told me himself, he says, that's all bullcrap, the whole story, Kirk. Don't even go there. He said, it's all bullcrap. It's they're trying to get you to believe in the whole alien crap. Okay, we already went through that one. So this guy was telling me that, it is true. They already have this technology today that they can literally, kid you not, read your mind. They can. From a distance. And I thought, what? Are you serious? Yeah, he said that the technology is still pretty new, but he said that it is true. And this guy would not lie to me, folks. He's not. I validated who he was, what he was, his background, and he's got an IQ out the roof. Just out the roof. I could actually talk to him about things that most people couldn't. I'm not trying to boast, say I'm smart or crap this. We actually knew terminology, you know, about quantum waves, slit experiment, all these other things. He's completely aware of all these things that you'd have to test somebody. So, you know, physics, electronical engineering, all these things. So I knew that this guy was solid. Now, sometimes a solid mind will be an insane mind that they'll accept other theories that are wacky out there. But everything he said was valid and to the point. So you got to remember this. They were valid and to the point. I see I'm doing this. Hope you're enjoying that. I'm putting the moon, like I said, it's like a parade going by. So hopefully you guys see something neat. If you do, while talking, I'll zoom in a little bit. It'd be kind of cool if we. So he said that is true. That he said it started out with. I never saw this on the internet or even YouTube. That they start out with fruit flies. That they can actually read the neurotransmissions in the little tiny brains of even fruit flies. That they could actually. So what they did, they have them stuck, like partly chilled and I don't know if they stuck their feet down or something, but he didn't explain it to me because I didn't care too much about the complete details. He said they couldn't move, and you know they thought they're moving, so they think they're moving, and it actually caused a screen display showing their neurotransmissions. So it showed these fruit flies bouncing, jumping up and down. I said, what? He goes, yeah, the flies we'd have these like all these like 50 flies in the monitor jumping up and down, even though they were actually moving, but their brain thought they're moving. Well, that'd be kind of weird, right? If we're actually not like in the Matrix where we're tied down, you know what I mean? That we're tied down, but we think we're moving, but we're actually not. It's just all brain and function waves, right? Like in a holodeck. Now, think about that for a minute. You're not actually moving, but you think you are. See, because that would be just like then, because we'd actually be like we'd be the flies on the screen where our body's actually frozen just in this avatar. And we're not actually moving and all these things, right? Boy, I don't need to go down that path. So I thought, so the in from the fruit flies to our mind, you know, and the way we are in this world, that they can actually do this today, that they can actually monitor. I said, well, how's it? He couldn't describe it all because there is top secret clearance on this, and so I know he wasn't trying to hide it. He says, I'm just not allowed to disclose that, which they can't, because he doesn't know me and he knows the rules. He doesn't know me enough to disclose these things, because he can work on the fringes, but he cannot go in implementation detail. Because he even said, man, I can't disclose anything. You know what I mean? You can't tell your best friend, because your best friend tell another best friend tell another best friend. You cannot tell whatsoever. So, and he said, so that they use some kind of technique where they can actually monitor the chemical cells, because you know, no, for the brain waves, they can monitor the brain waves, what it was, through this equipment. That they monitor brain waves so that you can so that they can actually read your mind. Okay, well, I told him, I said, well, if you can read your mind, you can probably write it. He goes, exactly. I said, what? I said, well, really? He goes, oh yeah. So think about that. So I think Robin talked about random access memory. Now, the reason I bring that up is because now, so if you can read brainwaves and, you know, you're reading and writing to somebody's brain, so that means you can reprogram people. They already do it through television, things like this, but they could directly smack you and rewrite segments of memory in your brain or storage. So I actually don't believe the storage is in your brain. It's actually just you know, it sounds weird, like kind of like you actually are just an avatar with antenna. But I don't know the details in that. But you know what I mean. But you know, it's something to go there and holy this, because there are segments of the brain that's that. You know what I mean? But so I asked him, well, that's okay. I said, that's okay. I can go with that. But what about? I said, what I really want to know is, if that's true, then what about memory? Because memory is static, meaning that there's no actually energy flowing in and out of it. It's stored in the neurotransmissions and chemicals and other things like that. He said, well, that's things they can actually they can somehow analyze that chemical structure in your brain and do 3D modeling to actually read your memory. And he said, matter of fact, they can actually transfer what they read into another brain. And I said, what? You know, kind of like the cloning thing. I said, you can actually take that? He goes, yes, you can take that memory, transfer into another brain. I was like, oh, okay, so this cloning thing may be real then. I thought, you know, we know Dolly was way back, and also with this Mandela effect, the technology in this Earth compared to our old one could be totally different. I mean, even though the time was the same, but we had stuff like, it was called technology before its time in this Earth. I mean, I don't want to go there. The guy used to do YouTube channels on this. About, he goes, this never existed in all time in reality. Stuff like, I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, geez, you know, just electric cars running around in 1852, and you know, just amazing things. Okay, so actually, I had talked to a guy that said the Men in Black, where he takes a little black stick and whaps your brain. Yeah, they can do that. I talked about it in another video. They have technology to whap your brain and just make it a blank slate. So now, we can whap your brain, make a blank slate and copy and things like this, and rewrite your memory. So now, if you know, do you think we're gonna freak out about it? It's like, no, if you're God, God's gonna protect you, Lord, angels, that you're not gonna have these memory rewrites. That's why some of us can see Mandela effect and things like that. So Mandela effect is actually a true, I believe, a ripple in time, and versus just wiping people's memory and reprogram, taking a download. But see, there's the problem, is because I've seen people take downloads right in front of me. Boom. But that's just to download to get to the current backstory, things like this. Okay. So that's, he told me was real. And then he told me some things I want to talk about current technology and warfare and what they have already. And it scared me, because there was things he told me that goes beyond what I read in YouTube. And I was like, and there's pieces though that he did not know. That's just interesting. There was a lot of stuff that scared me that he knew that has been talking to YouTube, but beyond what they were telling. And I don't even want to go there. I was like, well, wait a minute. So even they see are not completely that. they're being just, I mean, it is so I actually was testing. I said, so what happens if this type of weapon's used here? They have all of these defenses that it's irrelevant. Because I'm gonna give you an example. I'm not gonna tell you details of how they counteract it or how they engage it. You know that you heard about these EMPs? You know, they said, oh my God, they're gonna throw an EMP at the United States and whap everything out. Well, you tried to do that to China or any of these countries, and it ain't gonna have any impact whatsoever. I discovered that they already know this, and they already know how to counteract that EMP blast. You know, they know that energy, you know, EMF. Sorry, God, EMP. God, sorry, EMF. You know, where they do a blast of energy, electronic mass. You know, EMP. Okay, it's a peak. I don't know. I'm tired tonight. Sorry, whatever. The EMP, electronic mag pulse explosion to take down stuff. Now, the current society, you know, they have protection for that already. I said, you gotta be kidding me. Not in a complete societal standpoint, but as a defense. What I mean by that, bases, weapons, aircraft, all these things, they can already defend against it. For your common home, your car, no, it could take a hit. Boom, it's gone. And so I tell you what, I was shocked because I'm allowed to disclose this even, that the military already has. I talked to a veteran. This is 3 years ago. He was just retiring out of, and I met him in Colorado. That he's a veteran, and he actually worked on anti-gravity aircraft. I'm not kidding you. And he said one of them was half the size of a football field, just floating in space. That you can't even see it because it looks like a, you know, like a football. You know, I mean, I said the thing, half size of a football field. Floating space already have it, like a carrier that you can't see because it uses mirroring and holographic technology that looks like part of the sky. He said you can't even see it. He said it just blends in the bluish. I said, you serious? He goes, oh yeah. He said one could be floating about. So he looks up and goes, yeah, one could be floating about us right now, and you'd never know it. And this guy, he'd been in the with these operations with these advanced. He said he got advanced technology there. I think it was 20, 25 years in the military. It was near the end here, about 25 years, I think he said, or whatever it was. The last like 5 years he was in this high-tech stuff. And he said that it's true that you can fly these aircraft that creates like a bubble around them with anti-gravity that the pilots have to wear the special compression suits on their legs to tighten it. So you don't have, you know, so the blood, because they used to have to keep the blood and all you are passing out, and the blood shoots your legs and you're doing all this G's. And it said you don't even have to worry about that. He said it's all. He said he can't believe it. He said just you don't have to worry about that. So he didn't get a lot of exposure, but he got to see this stuff, and we just did the air show. So we got these we got these like high-speed jets flying around the air show I just had, and those are ancient technology what they already have, because we even know that the stealth bomber was actually invented in 52 or 56, I believe it was. Yeah, and they announced it in 19. You have to look it up. In this current timeline, it'll still be the same history because it gets rewritten. But the stealth bomber was 1952, I think it was. Can you believe that? And they didn't announce it until like 1990s, I believe it was, or 80s, can't remember. 90s, I believe. Yeah, so it'll be about 35, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 30 years later. So you don't think if you had the stealth bomber back in 1952 or 56, I can't remember the exact year, that's kind of more common knowledge now. It's been disclosed a little bit that that they don't have anti-gravity airplanes and aircrafts. You're kidding yourself then if you don't believe this. How many? We don't know, because how many stealth bombers then? Probably maybe a handful. Which is going to be an interesting mathematical thing about this. That people don't realize that when they ran the equation to design the stealth bomber, the guy, there's called a minimum and maximum coefficient. Remember in algebra, with the wings, the shape of the triangle, the wings. Well, they actually made a mistake that when they ran the equation, they said that it was that they ran the minimum for gas usage, to maximize fuel, maximize distance with fuel consumption and weight and all this. they actually ran the minimum versus the maximum, the shape of the wing. And boy, I guess the first ones were like spent millions and millions of dollars on it, and they only like got to fly a very short distance. I mean, I can't remember, you know, probably, let's say, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there because I don't remember, or something like, let's say 250 miles, right, as far as it could go. And I said, God, that thing is burning fuel really bad, you know, and all these things. But then they found out later that was the reason, because they actually ran the wrong equation. You know, it starts with one guy and he passes on. Pretty soon everybody just missed it. And so then they said, oh, we ran the minimum equation for the shape of the wing, so we need to change it. And so then we ran the maximum. One thing with the maximum distance for the fuel usage on the shape. And he said then all of a sudden they had it where it was a lot better. But see, there's so many dynamics behind it, because running the shape of the wing also has to depend on the angle so that it actually be stealthy too, or be silent where you couldn't hit it with radar. Okay, so that was that's thing. So the technology behind the stuff is real. And we talked, and see if there's anything else I can disclose in this. I worked on the Star Wars program, which is okay because that's pretty well known. Star Wars was the laser systems that they used at during the Reagan administration. I was actually talking to a guy today about this, the Clinton administration, and also that Clinton administration and the Reagan. It was during the Reagan administration that the Star Wars program was theirs. I actually worked on that. Oh no, they just were starting to wrap part of that when I started working for Lucky Marmot. I don't want to go into detail on that one because the helicopter background, because that wouldn't be right. Okay, so there was a Star Wars program that was real, because people said, well, wasn't that just a cover up and waste? No, Star Wars program was real. Okay, they were actually trying to use, not trying, they were designing systems to use lasers to counteract different things. And then he explained to me why, which blew my mind, because I thought they pulled back and started doing the technology. I thought, well, that's the golden key. And they explained to me why you have to use more than that. I can't disclose you what they have beyond that now. I said, you got to be kidding me. That's how, I mean, this stuff is like, what? Okay, so I'm heading to point with this. That's what really blew my mind, is that, even TV, you think all these lasers are the way to, and he said, that's not the most efficient manner. I said, it's not lasers. No, it's not. My friends, lasers are not the key. They've discovered. It is one choice of weapon, but the big one, I can't disclose what it is. It's way, way crazier than that, okay? There's actually two more technologies of that. So I don't even know why I brought it up. I'm just saying, lasers are not the old fancy thing with Star Wars. Actually the Star Wars, the jet fighter, flying with Luke Skywalker. No, if you're actually in that situation, it'd be something different. I discovered way different. It'd be broader damage, and just it's shocking what this stuff can do. And they have this. It's beyond lasers. Lasers are kind of like already old school. Not old school, but that they are discovered there's a limitation on everything with lasers, right? So there's something more advanced than that even. So you got to realize. So I'm sitting talking to this guy. The reason I'm bringing all this stuff up is because it gets kind of freaky when you start thinking that this stuff is scary. That if we don't stop this, you are gonna. If there truly was, this stuff is beyond worrying about nuclear bombs. This stuff is a nightmare, and that's what concerned me, because this is worse than napalm type stuff. That an all-out war between these countries, nuclear bombs is very. I know how devastating and large damage they do. This stuff is very serious, and this is way beyond the tech. That real stuff. I'm like thinking, man, I don't want to be part of that. So that was one thing. He was actually, I don't go into detail, asking for my assistance to help push out the right contacts, which I have. That might be leads to, because the problem is it's political even in these top secret programs, and therefore everybody's buying for money, just like on the congressional seat. And he was asking me if I could help him push this through to different people through my routes. And I do have some people, but I'm like, so he, you know, he's talking this morning. He goes, you know, so I got to caution, make sure Father and Lord and the higher command really want me to do that, because once I do that, I could be opened up to being responsible for harming humans and children's lives in the future in other countries or even our own by engaging in war. Okay, so they're gonna have to provide me clear direction whether I should continue helping him, because this is serious things, folks. I've been kind of wandering that back and forth in my head today. Do I continue or do not, right? And so anyway, don't know, right? So anyway, well, I'll think about it. Okay, so also you know, these are things that we just don't do, and I've never put our country in harm's way whatsoever. And so, and there's the part, because I don't want to put other people in harm's way as well in other countries, right? But see, there's the issue I have, that if you're God, if I can validate, he says defend this country because that's the Holy Land, I'm there in 10 seconds. But if he says, well, defend it, but defend it not to the point of killing other people in other countries, so that's a whole different story. So I have to follow orders and commands that's given only by God, right? So there's the issue. And I do not have communication on this yet, what to do and proceed. I'm sure they'll let me know in time how or what I should do in this action, okay? Because I don't know right now. So what else? So that's why I brought this up, is doing through that, but not because, you know, I just want you to understand that we want to be very careful, being this world that we're in, that we're here to bring peace and a new beginning, but at what cost and prices do we have to do to bring that in? Because I have told the Father, Lord, and the side that a war is war. I don't care if it's in flesh or in earth, or it's a war spiritually. That I don't want to engage in a spiritual war, even though I'm getting my butt kicked spiritually. Just you guys, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen this. I'm getting my butt kicked spiritually right and left every day. But they know that I don't want to engage. War is war, no matter what you put in front of it, spiritual, the adjective, or flesh. That this whole game started to be a spiritual war in heavens. And I don't want to engage in a war that continues people even by the soul of their name. That's interesting. All right? Okay, so the RV coming by. So see what I'm saying? Because the spiritual war's got to stop too, because that's just a different, one's us here in Avatar and flesh, and one's us in spiritual war. That either way, somebody gets hurt. And then you know, there's no winner in war. Somebody said, well, we won. So see, even if Russia wins, they still lose. And there's always loss. It's never a win-win situation. Never is. So the thing in the spiritual warfare, you're going to see the same thing here, that there are going to be losses on both sides of the good and the bad. There can never be just a solid win-win. So they know that, and I'm still waiting for God's command, because even the Lord, I told you, he knows until that he, you know, he's a great guy. He's you know, thing and all his stuff, but he knows that I have to take orders directly from God, a creator only. And you know, the Lord helps me. He guides me. I'm trying to help him, make sure he, you know, that I do the best I can for him. So, but you know, there again, it says in Scripture, serve two masters. You serve them both poorly, right? But you know, but we still follow a chain of command, just like in military. That, you know, you got the Lord, he's right there at the top, commander-in-chief almost, but then you got somebody right above that, that's your God and creator, that's an ultimate in control of all this. So, you know, I take orders, but when it comes to very serious orders like this, to engage in this or do that, that's going to be very serious consequences, that I can't do that. That's why I always say that, you know, our ancestors paid a price, your ancestors or brothers and sisters, there is too much on the line. Even the Lord paid a price, big time. But you know, many, Moses, Noah, Elijah, all of them paid a price, and I cannot afford to make a mistake. I have to make 100% sure. I can't even have one question. It can't be, well, there's that one question out of 5,000 I might be wrong. It has to be, this ain't a majority vote, because it takes one slip up and then it's over. I screwed up and I'm a failure. So it has to be 100%, right? Because it's like sitting there, do we push, you know, it's like having a nuclear bomb in the Natives contents. You know, Kirk, do you push that button or not? And all of a sudden I got, you know, hey, Lord, I've got these other people. And I'm not trying to defend the Lord, because he's a very great guy. But I got those people saying, hey, push that button. I push that button until it's God himself, because we are at a new start and a reset. And you push that button, boy, that you don't want, what's that reset button gonna do? Boom, right? So everybody knows that, and and the thing is too, we're just doing what we can, and they're not going to disclose everything to us. We don't, because it messed up the whole order of this mission for all of us, right? You got to realize it's more than just a mission. We're in a learning process, and as well, it's like, oh, this whole thing is grand movie theater. So that's just going to tell you, why do you think they call it theater in a war? Think about that for a minute. You ever talk to somebody, they'll call the World War II, they said, well, they had the they had the Pacific Theater, where there's some battleship there. We had the Pearl Harbor Theater. See, that's what I'm saying. The world's a stage. It's a theater. They didn't say that. Look, see, that's a theater over there. It's kind of like you walk into a movie theater, and there's a theater that's one's called the rated R. There's the one that's PG-13. So we got all these theaters going around the world, right? And now the problem is you have all these theaters blending into each other, right? So anyway, so that's why you understand. And theater is Earth. You can spell it right in there. Theater. Think about it. If you rearrange the letters, it's Earth. Okay. The world's actually not just a theater; it's the stage. So, so that's enough about that. Okay. All right. God bless and love y'all.